A lot of times, if a guy's super tall, super rich, if he's super connected, maybe he only has this one way that he's ever been able to meet girls. And then you take that crutch away from him, then he's got a serious problem.
How much would you pay to have worked on your social skills, your charisma, going out, cold approach, meeting people? How much would you have paid to force yourself in the past for the past 3 years to have done that like 3-4 times a week? And they were like, dude, 500K, 400K, 300K. Like, they're like, just the fact that you say that, I'm like, fuck, I've wasted so much time. I need to take it seriously now. So I think that's a cool perspective to go into. And also, another thing I thought about is how there's a lot of technical perspectives of game, and like at a high level, all that we like to talk about is like, oh, boom, the systems, the social circle, the Instagram ads, the fucking like, all this complex stuff. But the things that get people started aren't like, here's my CRM that I use to manage my leads. It's like, it's just what's the initial inspiration and what's the initial like pain point, or what's the initial like spark that gets you going. And for some people, it's just finding out the game exists. So
yeah,
I don't know. That's the things that are going through my head right now.
Yeah. Let's unpack that. So I think that like obviously there's like a pain period for a lot of people. Like I was definitely in this category when it comes to learning game, because you have to push past your comfort zone. Like really, the guys who struggle with game are the guys who it makes them uncomfortable to go up and talk to a random girl. So like stretching your comfort zone is a massive makes you massively uncomfortable. And then I think a lot of people postpone that. They're like, oh, I'll do this when I make 6 figures. I'll do this when I'm in good shape. They just postpone it, and they wind up postponing it for years. And then they're like 35 and they still haven't really started. So yeah, I think that's the thing.
You know what's interesting? A lot of times you'll see this in business. You're having great months in business, and you don't want to change anything because success is a terrible teacher. And then you go through the pain, like what Austin's saying. I think a lot of times we lose sight of how important that pain is. Like you don't want to forego it. That's what, like, again, that's what prostitution is. It's a way of foregoing the pain of rejection. That's what pornography is. It's a way of foregoing the pain. And you just realize, because there's nothing in the world that feels worse than the pain. But at the same time, right, it's like, I'm just realizing this, with some of my clients and some of my friends, is like how incredibly important you just have to get to a point where, the guy is a poor performer and you got to fire him, or the girl has just done something. She had to do something so fucking crazy before the guy finally breaks up with her. That kind of shit, like that level of pain, it's just such an incredible teacher. And it'd be better, right, if we were smart enough to learn those lessons when things were good. But we have to wait till, like in my case, my father was killed by a drunk driver. I got deployed to the Middle East. While I was in the Middle East, after my dad had just been killed by a drunk driver, my girl leaves me. She starts dating a Marine, like, while I'm there, and I'm watching the whole thing unfold on fucking MySpace. That was the pain that I needed in order to get motivated. And I look back at those times and I'm like, bro, what if that had never happened to me? Like, how different I would have been today. So yeah, I mean, I think it's really important. I think that, to me, the beginning for a lot of guys, you can see you'll talk to them and they haven't suffered enough. And because they haven't suffered enough, they aren't ready to learn any lessons.
Pretty much all the dating coaches that are good, and just most guys in general who slept with a lot of girls, they used to suck when they were younger, and that acted as a motivation for them as a few. Let me ask you this: do any of you guys get this, or is this just a me thing? So, especially when I was like learning game, if I saw a hot girl and I bitched out, didn't approach her, I would feel like a lot of like pain. Like I would start beating myself up. But then if I did it, even if I got blown out, I would feel like a dopamine high that I just did it anyway. So initially, like going up to the girl, I would be like nervous. I'd be like, oh fuck, I don't want to do this. I want to do this. But as I was doing it, especially afterwards, I would feel like an increase in my state. I would feel a lot better that I did it. Versus if I skipped it, even though I avoided that initial discomfort, I would just beat myself up and feel like shit afterwards.
Yeah, no, I
agree. I think we're really bad at determining how we're going to feel after the fact. Like we could say the same thing about gym. How many times have you never wanted to go to the gym, and after you go, how do you feel? You feel amazing. You're really glad you did it. Like I can't even think of a time where I thought I don't want to go to the gym. I went, and then I was like, I shouldn't have gone. Never. And it's the same with the pro. We're just really bad at predicting how we're going to feel afterwards. So yeah, it's important to keep in mind, like, even if it, as you said, is an awful fucking approach and you don't do that great, and the girl's like, all right, I need to go see my friends, you're still going to feel good for the fact that you got over that and you have that relief, that the adrenaline hit that you get. So yeah, always just take the action. You'll feel better afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that concept of the first 5 don't matter. There's like the first 5 approaches don't matter. For some students, they just feel so bad. They're like, I don't think this is gonna work or whatever, and they start judging themselves. But then if you just tell them to get the first 5 approaches out of the way, they feel like this relief. So yeah, even it applies
I'll even tell them, if you go and talk to this girl and she doesn't reject you, I'm gonna be mad at you. Go get rejected.
Yeah.
Let me see you get rejected. We're gonna applaud if you get rejected. If this girl ends up sucking your dick right in front of us, we're gonna be pissed at you, bro. Come on.
You're kind of touching on another point, which is that like this holds a lot of guys back, is they play too safe. They're playing not to lose, they're playing to win. So they're like, I don't want to get rejected. So they don't get rejected, but then the girl just either friend zones them or gets bored. And so, but they're like taking that short term, I guess, relief of not saying anything polarizing that could get you rejected. But at the same time, they're taking the long term, I guess, L. I think that's like really, really common. Just especially if a guy's like, maybe he's successful with 6s, but then he goes talks to an 8. He almost never lands her, and he thinks it's because 8s are different than 6s fundamentally. But in reality, he just played it like super safe, and he wasn't polarizing, he wasn't charismatic, he wasn't funny because he was trying really, really hard not to fuck it up.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's difficult. You don't want to, especially. Let's just say I had one guy I was on the phone with for like over an hour. And he got all his leads, his social leads, from a salsa dancing class that he took. And I was like, hey man, why don't you, post on social media? Maybe you can meet some other women. I know the only place you meet women is from your salsa dancing class. He goes, I don't want to do that because what if I ruin my reputation with the salsa dancing class? And it was just like, he played it so safe. So you know what I did is I asked him for the name of the class, and I showed him 25 other people in the class that were posting on TikTok like their salsa dancing stuff. And the dude was just like dumbfounded because I was putting him in a position where he had to take a chance. A lot of times if a guy's super tall, super rich, if he's super connected, maybe he only has this one way that he's ever been able to meet girls. And then you take that crutch away from him, then he's got a serious problem. So, I mean, I think that's kind of an example of what you're saying. These guys don't want to take a chance. They don't want to do this. And the other thing is, this is what I've also found is, when I have a client who comes from a very structured upbringing, a lot of times these are some of my Eastern European or Asian clients, because their parents tell them where you're going to go to school, who you're going to date, how you're going to dress. What happens is they give a fuck about so much about what their parents think that once they become an adult, they give a fuck about what everyone thinks. And now going out and getting rejected publicly actually means something to them. But someone who's hit rock bottom, you truly understand when you're at rock bottom, you're at survival mode. When you're in survival mode, you don't give a fuck what anybody else thinks. You're going to eat whatever you need to eat. You're going to do whatever you need to survive. And when you're in like an emotional survival mode, you stop caring about what other people think. And then rejection doesn't mean as much. But a lot of these guys, like you said, Alex, I don't think they've gone through enough pain sometimes to get past that point to be willing to say, I'll do anything to get better. I'll do anything to get rid of this 100 pounds of fat. I'll do anything to get my family out of debt. I'll do anything to protect my family. I'll do anything to go meet a girl. You have to get to a certain pain point in order to be able to get to that place.